Alright. There we go. Let us rock and roll. Starting it over. Oh. We have been having technical issues over the past week with the internet, which is why we're switching on the 31st. Ooh, mamacita. Let me reset up everything. Even though I know everybody already watched. We'll do it again. We will do it again. We'll do it as many times as it takes. I have work tomorrow morning, but that's okay. We can still get this. Are y'all still with me? Everybody there? Hello? Is it me you're looking for? Oh, hopefully this works. Bum 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 bum. All right, some viewers back. Sorry about that. We're gonna give it 2 more minutes and then we'll relaunch. Crazy internet, thunderstorms, internet. That's okay. It's okay. We'll get everything figured out. Eventually, when things pick up steam again, I'll be wanting to do to get a producer for myself. That way I don't have to worry about all this. I can just perform. Alright, live on Twitch, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. We're gonna go again. Don't worry, everybody. Just fixing some technical difficulties real quick. Right. I think we're ready to go this time. Okay, technical difficulties aside, today's stream is going to be all about modern horror. I'll be painting up some zombies and skeletons, mostly skeletons. I'll be talking about the new Return of the Living Dead RPG, and I will also be talking about some of the past things that I've done with modern horror and what I'll be doing in the very near future. So let's start again. On today's stream, I'll be painting up the remainder of my epic encounters, Arena of the Undead Horde. I'll be painting up a lot of Skelly Bros, knocking these things out so that I can have them ready for Free RPG Day, which is coming up June 21st. We're just a few weeks away from Free RPG Day. I will be out at Board and Brew Games, my closest sponsor. But I'll also be traveling around to other stores to check them out and see what they have available. If you get the opportunity to go out to Free RPG Day, find your local game store. I think some Barnes and Nobles may be doing it. I highly recommend participating in it. It's a great chance for you to get out, meet people within the community, continue to learn about different systems and settings, and pick up some free pamphlets and adventures that you can add to your repertoire or learn from right off the bat. So I had talked about several of the modern horror RPGs that I've played before, starting with VHS. VHS is Italian born and bred. They came out with a really cool box set of adventures and modules and ways to play the game. It's a very narrative tabletop role-playing game where it's all horror based. You're in a horror movie. You can play it B movie. You can play it, AAA. Very expensive. You could absolutely do some of your favorite franchises, which I highly recommend, because it's made for that. It's made to be big, spooky. There's opportunities for the storyteller to make jump scares. There's opportunity for the players to have really big comeback moments. Final girl is a thing in here where there could be one lone survivor. In VHS, there may not be the entire group may not survive. Like it's made to be played one shot scenario. You can do like a trilogy of movies, and then a couple of characters move on, or you have a set few characters that come back and forth between movies. But it's very neat to play, and it's very, very true to the movie feel. I highly recommend VHS by Ace Games. The one that I was talking about before I was so rudely interrupted by our internet malfunction is East Texas University. I'm going to talk about this one a lot because, one, I love Ed Wetterman, one of the creators of East Texas University, and two, this setting holds a very dear place in my heart because I love to hack it. I think that this is a phenomenal setting. I think the idea is great. Low tech, set in the late 80s, early 90s. So it is modern, but players can't use their cell phones to do everything. They can't use laptops to fix everything. It's very neat. You could play it a little bit in the current modern era, but I think that it holds very good value in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. I like to play this with Tiny Cthulhu instead of Savage Worlds because I feel like it gives it a lot more freedom for the players to be more involved with the narrative. It gives them the opportunity to role play a lot more, and it actually forces them to role play a lot more. What I like to do for this one is they'll choose their major like you do in normal East Texas University with Savage Worlds, but then that's what you use to role play everything. I like to pick a musical theater major and pretend that I'm a magician, a stage magician that's trying to make his way from Pine Box, Texas to Las Vegas. I've also played a chef, a culinary arts student. There's just so many different ways you can use this to play around and be goofy and have a good time with your friends. And it gives a really good spin on modern horror. So I highly recommend it. If you haven't tried East Texas University by Pinnacle Entertainment, definitely try it out. They've got it in the Savage World setting. Hack it. Use it for whatever you want. Ed and his crew at 12 to midnight did a fantastic job writing these, writing the setting, writing the creative ways to interact with the supernatural in Texas. I'm from Houston, Texas. We're in Houston, Texas. I'm in Houston, Texas. So this holds a lot for me personally, and it actually helped me become a better storyteller, because I used to just run things by the seat of my pants. I used to go in with a very bold outline, like just some bullet points. Reading and understanding the history of where I am, of where I'm from. You know, this is East Texas. We use Houston. It helped me become a better player because I was using it for Cthulhu games. I was like, oh, you know, if they can do it in East Texas, then I can hold a Cthulhu game. I could start my campaign in Houston or Galveston, which is rich with history, and learn about that and figure out what's going on, because everybody knows that Galveston's haunted. There are several places in Houston that are local haunts. Right? Old Town Spring has a ghost walk that happens 365 practically. So I really enjoyed that. I really liked picking up and learning and having to research and have plot hooks and key things that were happening at the time. And so it made me a better storyteller, because it made me become better prepared, because my players could just as easily look up and be like, oh, you know what, this was happening at the time, you know, in 1923, this was happening in Houston, this was happening, the Houston ship channel was there, the Houston Botanical Gardens, the Houston Zoo was starting to form. So there was all kinds of things that I had to look into. Buildings that are still here right now, that are still being used for almost the same purpose. And buildings that have changed purpose, so that I had to look that up, and that was really, really neat. And so East Texas University forced me to do that, forced me to look up things that were happening in Texas, because even though the town is fictional, Pine Box is fictional, it takes place, you know, in a real space. So I could look up things and have them leave college, because you're a college student in this game, leave college for a field trip to survey some supernatural things. Or maybe it was one of the good ones is winter break, like they do something over Christmas break, and so that's a really good scenario that they have for the game. And so really like East Texas University, highly recommend it. Another modern horror game that I haven't had the chance to play, but I picked it up because I love the board game, is Zombicide Chronicles. So this RPG plays exactly like the board game. Very simple. Instead of using squares on a map, you use zones. So you're like 1 or 2 zones away from the zombies. You're trying to hit the target number for zombies. You have to worry about swarms. And of course, this is all just zombies. They have come out with a few things, because there's different versions of Zombicide. There's Zombicide Black Plague, Zombicide Invaders, but they've added quite a few things to it. But it's very simple, very fun. If you like the board game, if you've always wanted to branch out from the board game, because I know that me and my friends used to play the board game all the time. In fact, I pulled it out right here because it is a fantastic board game, and I realize now with what's happening currently that I'm going to have to actually get in here and paint up these models. I'm going to need these models, the models from the board game, these modern zombies, because I was invited to take an early look at the Return of the Living Dead official tabletop role-playing game. It's a big old long thing. If you've looked at my Facebook page, I've posted several times about it. Their Kickstarter goes live tomorrow. The Kickstarter is for a cinematic adventure for Everyday Heroes. Everyday Heroes is a 5e compatible role-playing system that takes things into the modern day. Just like it says Everyday Heroes, this is made for making like movies. Like you're playing modern day everyday heroes. This book is 465 pages long. This is their core book. It comes with a slew of things for creating your adventurers, and it's basically 5e. Right, they're using the same premise, but it's there's less hold on the spells and feats and things like that, and more emphasis on traits and what your character can do and where you're playing in, because the everyday heroes is fantastic. You can play like street level cops, you can play firefighters, police officers, street level police officers, you can play firefighters, you could play SWAT team, you could play people that are trapped in a mine, right? It can be used for anything, and it gives you the ability to be like, hey, look, we're going to quickly create these characters and knock that out. The really cool thing that Everyday Heroes does is they have cinematic adventures, and these cinematic adventures have a whole range of things for you to pick from. Kong Skull Island, The Crow, oh my gosh, that New York movie, Escape from New York, Highlander, I'm trying to think, Rambo is one of them. Like, they give you adventures and layouts, and each adventure, each cinematic adventure comes with new traits, comes with new abilities, comes with new origins. The origins are basically your class features, and they allow you to jump into those universes. They allow you to be like, all right, cool, we're gonna play The Crow. All right, so you could be a beat cop, you could be a starving musician, you could be a revenant like The Crow, right? And they give you the rules to play through all of that, and hooks for what's going on, what's happening. I have not played a game in one of the cinematic universes. I have played a game where we were all playing basically that Precinct 13, where a bunch of SWAT officers that are trapped inside of a precinct, because the precinct has a lot of drugs and money, and like every cartel in the city is coming after that precinct to pick it clean. So it was very neat. It was different. I liked it. Oh no, please don't go out again. Looks like my internet's gonna go fuzzy in just a second. But I really liked it. Definitely wanted to try it again, and the Return of the Living Dead Kickstarter that is happening tomorrow gives me the perfect example to dive back into Everyday Heroes. Growing up, I watched a lot of horror movies with my family. It's a very cherished memory that I have of me hanging out at my grandma's house with my aunt and my uncle, my nina, my tiotitos, laying on grandma's bed or on the floor watching these gritty horror movies, Dr. Giggles, Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street, Evil Dead, and Return of the Living Dead. I remember Return of the Living Dead because the original Return of the Living Dead came out in 1984. I was born in 1985. Well, the remake came out, I say the remake, Return of the Living Dead 2, which is basically a remake, came out a few years after I was born, obviously. And I remember sitting there with my family watching this movie and thinking, this is ridiculous, this is crazy, this is a little scary, but it's really funny. Like, it's very campy, and it's one of the movies that I believe gave me my love for these goofy, over-the-top B movies that are just as funny as they are scary, because they evoke a lot of different emotions. And I think that's how I try and run a lot of my games, is I try and evoke as many emotions as possible while keeping it lighthearted, which is exactly what Return of the Living Dead does. The movies, 1 and 2, classics, hilarious. 3 was a little bit off the rails. I liked it because it gave a new perspective on what the undead were. The other ones that came out, the Necropolis and Rave to the Grave, were just as over the top and campy and gritty, but also had like really terrifying moments in them. So I think that with what I was given from Evil Genius Games is the one that is running and creating and backing the Everyday Heroes Return of the Living Dead Kickstarter. and I'm going to kickstart it. I am not big on Kickstarters. I don't like the idea of putting my money down and it's basically a pre-order. But they have a very good track record for delivering. A very good track record for delivering. They are phenomenal at creating adventures with what they've been given using the 5e SRD. They've got so many things because I have everything else. Like I have that big core rulebook right there, but I have the Highlander cinematic adventure. I have Rambo and Kong and The Crow because I like that idea. I like that idea of playing in franchises and hooking people, because if there's one thing that I've learned about tabletop role-playing games, it's that we have the ability to talk and get to people that Dungeons and Dragons can't, right? I mean, Dungeons and Dragons is a phenomenal setting, phenomenal system, but there's only so many people that want fantasy, right? There's only so many people that fantasy reaches out to. Now we're living in the internet age where everybody's watching Dimension 20 and Vox Machina and all these other live play shows. What is it? Legends of Evantris is one of my favorite. But they're all fantasy, right? With the Dimension 20 dipping and diving into different places a lot. But I don't like fantasy as much. I like modern horror. I like sci-fi. And that's what Everyday Heroes gives us the opportunity to do, right? Alien has its own tabletop role-playing game, and they could use some help. Somebody in one of my tabletop role-playing game Facebook groups is trying to get players together for a Star Trek RPG, which is wild to me, right? Like I've heard of Star Wars and other things, but like Star Wars is heavy on the like sci-fi fantasy. You know, you got psychic space knights, but Star Trek, that's all sci-fi. That's hard sci-fi. But there's people out there that want to play it. There's people out there that want to enjoy that setting, that franchise. So this gives us the opportunity to step back and be like, oh, you know, here's something cool, campy, fun. So while I was reading over the Return of the Living Dead tabletop role-playing game, they've written it out beautifully. It looks fun. It looks fantastic. It evokes exactly what the movie means to me, where it's very campy. There's space for adventure and wacky antics to happen. They have rules for becoming an undead. They have a name for it, but a reanimated. They have rules for becoming a reanimated. There's different types of reanimated that you could be. And then it's not just about being a reanimated. You could be a part of the Darrow Company cleanup crew, or you could be a military grunt, or you could be some punk rocker like from the first movie. I mean, it's just really well thought out. It's really well written. It's really a good space for where a tabletop role-playing game for that franchise should be. And I think Evil Genius Games did a phenomenal job of converting the movies and all of its lore, because there's a lot of lore, into what the game should be. And I'm going to talk about what the game should be while I paint a little bit. So let's go ahead and get that set up. Bah. Wicked. Alright, so today we will be painting some Skelly Bros. If you watched the last stream, I painted this big boy up. I know he's not painted, but I have his brother off to the side. He is big, he is chunky, he is ready to be seen. So painted him. This guy looks like this. And today I'll be using the exact same method, the slap chop method. I really just wanted to get paint onto these guys so that I could put them on the board. They're not the high level of detail that I do with my wargaming miniatures, simply because these guys are going to see a lot more play. So I want something that I can touch up easy. So yeah, Ashley, thanks for watching. If y'all guys are watching, give me a like, give me a follow, say hey. It helps, I promise. So I have 6, 10, 14, I have 18 miniatures I have to finish painting. And I'm going to try and do that all tonight. First and foremost, we're going to start with our speed paints. These speed paints are from Army Painter. Highly recommend them for the slap chop method. All I did was take the model, prime it black, dry brush it, and I've seen a lot of people dry brush them like this and just leave them like they're done at this point. I like the idea of putting like popping color on there. All right. We are literally just going to pop all the bony bits. With color. Bony, 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 bony. All right, so Evil Genius Games gave me an advanced copy of the Return of the Living Dead tabletop RPG, and I absolutely love it. I think that they did a great job at showing exactly what a movie being placed into an RPG should be. Oop. Gotta get in there. There we go. Just. I don't see any more bones on this guy. He's not nearly as bony as his compadres. Bloop. That's okay. There's some bones on the base. That one's done. All right. We're gonna do these in waves. But read through, I'm definitely going to be putting together some scenarios, because the advanced copy that they gave me comes with one scenario that's basically the first movie, which is fantastic. I think that that's a great way to get people into it. Another thing that Return of the Living Dead heavily leans into is the fact that they say that Night of the Living Dead, the George Romero movie, was actually based on a true story. And so Return of the Living Dead is playing off of that like it was a giant government cover-up. Which, if you know any of the history of Night of the Living Dead and Return of the Living Dead, George Romero wasn't the only writer for Night of the Living Dead. It was actually co-written and brought to life by the guy who did Return of the Living Dead. That's why you see Of the Living Dead, or Of the Dead, on a lot of different zombie movies, right? Anything that George Romero does is of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. Which I only just learned about that like last year. Oop, he's done. Everything else that the other creator did, and his name escapes me right now, is Return. That's why there's like 5 Return of the Living Dead movies. Because when they broke apart and wanted to do different zombie movies, they each got a different holding of the rights. So Romero does all of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead. Because Night of the Living Dead, while it wasn't the first zombie movie ever, it was really the catalyst for the starting of that genre. Of the zombie boom. That we all know and love to this day. Oops, I don't think I got the chest of that other guy. There we go. So there's a little bit of knowledge for you. Pick this guy back up a little bit. Hit his chest. We can see that that's bone. Because I'm going to make the rest of it like a dark gray. And maybe purple. I don't know where these archers are from, but they look like they like purple. But I was very intrigued by the story of the fact that George Romero wasn't the only person that did Night of the Living Dead. And that it was actually, because while I like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, Land of the Dead, they're very serious. They're very horror themed movies. They're very spooky and creepy and kooky. I just happen to prefer the campiness and the lighter notes that the Return series give me. So when I found out that there was going to be a Return of the Living Dead tabletop RPG, I worked my marketing magic, contacted evil geniuses, and see what we could work out. And they were very gracious, took a look at my social medias, saw that I was not just some chump that was trying to get something for free. And they gave me a very basic, very, please be careful with this copy of the, it's almost like a first draft. There's no cool pictures, there's no art in it. It's just that which I need to run the game, and I very much will be running that game, if not at Free RPG Day, then definitely at BrawlCon in August. Because I love me some Return of the Living Dead. It's actually really funny because just a few months ago I was looking at they were trying to do another Kickstarter to get some things rolling for something else for Return of the Living Dead. And unfortunately, that Kickstarter had to stop because there were some technical issues that weren't worked out, and there's people trying to get things moving for other portions of the property. And so I was very sad that it did not move forward, that there was nothing that was going to be done, and that there was no information that they could give us about when we might see something else for Return of the Living Dead. Because again, I think that the one thing that separates Return of the Living Dead from one thing that separates Return of the Living Dead from other horror franchises is the campiness of it. They don't. It is a scary movie. It is a horror movie, but it is aware of itself. It pokes fun at itself in several of its movies. And it's definitely something that deserves to be preserved and moved forward, because there aren't a lot of movies like that now. Unless it's outside of the movie itself, like the marketing for it. Case in point, Toxic Avenger. The new Toxic Avenger movie that's coming out here in the next few months. I'm very excited about that as well. Huge Toxic Avenger fan. I remember the Toxic Crusaders. Toxic Crusaders, Toxic Crusaders. Cartoon show. I get everything? I believe I did. Like, there's not a lot of things that take themselves seriously or they take. A lot of franchises take themselves too much seriously. Another day of awesome painting. Hey, Theo Choco, yeah. Over on Twitch, Theo Choco has just popped up. Thank you, Theo Choco, for checking me out. Yes, I am finishing up the book. Finishing up my skeletons, and I will be working with more of these skeletons for the rest of the night. Theo Choco, we are actually talking about the new Return of the Living Dead tabletop role-playing game that's coming out that I am very excited about. Are you familiar with that? Theo Choco is from South America, so I'm always interested to hear what he has to say. Pretty sure it's South America. Theo Choco, we're talking about Return of the Living Dead, the new tabletop role-playing game that's coming out. Are you familiar with that franchise of movies? Return of the Living Dead? They gave me an advanced copy. I do plan on playing it very soon. They gave it to me last week, like Thursday, Friday of last week. So I have not had a chance to get it all together. Okay, so Theo Choco just made a comment the one from Romero. No, George Romero does the Of the Dead. So he did Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, Land of the Dead. He did a lot of the Deads. Return of the Living Dead is a whole different franchise. Like Living Dead is the franchise. Because the original Night of the Living Dead was actually co-authored and co-written and co-everything with Romero and another person. If you haven't had a chance to watch Return of the Living Dead, highly recommended. Great horror franchise, and they are right up my alley. They're much more campy than the Dead series. It's almost done. Boom. I don't think I got the hand on the other ones. Nope. Yes, that one. Trioxin. They're inside the barrel. Tarman. That's the one I'm talking about. Just a few more. You know, Tio Choco, I think I was about the same age. I was pretty young when I saw my first Return of the Living Dead. Missed that there were bones on the base. Any bones on this base? But anyway, Theo Choco, we're talking about there's a Kickstarter happening tomorrow. I know Kickstarters are rough for you because you're not local, but the company doing it has a great reputation for getting their Kickstarters out on time in a timely fashion. Yes, sir, Theo Choco. Evil Genius Games is creating a cinematic adventure for it, for their Almost Heroes RPG. If you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend you look into it because they run a lot of really cool stuff like The Crow, Highlander, now Return of the Living Dead. Focus, focus. Alright, so these next couple of models. Yes, Theo Choco, you know what I'm talking about. Pacific Rim, Rambo. All these really cool cinematic RPGs. Yes. Because it's so cool. Wait, who wouldn't want to play in those universes where you can just pilot a mech, be a revenant? I think I should have left the teeth unpainted. I'll do that on the next one. See how that looks. Put a splash of red on them. Got some chains. Oof. This one's taking up quite a bit of paint. You know what's funny, Theo Choco? Me and my girls watched Pacific Rim this morning. We were on a movie bender. We're just watching all kinds of movies, and my oldest, Lulu, wants to watch King Kong and Godzilla movies. So we watched like 7 of them yesterday. And I was just like, alright, I need to take a King Kong break. I am tightened out. And she was like, no, I want to watch another one. I said, well, here, let's watch this one because it's at least a little bit cooler. Get all up in there. Peru. A Peruvian Jaeger. No, I did not. Was that in the first movie or the second movie? Theo Choco over on Twitch says that Pacific Rim is very popular in his country because they mentioned a Peruvian Jaeger. And I did not know that. Joe, thanks for watching, brother. Greatly appreciate it. If you're watching over on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube, please be sure to give me a like and a follow. Every bit of it helps. They never showed it, just mentioned it. Okay. Yeah, because the only ones that I remember from the first movie, because we just watched it today, was the 2 American ones, the Russian one, and the Chinese one. Alright. That's cool. Alright, so I did this big one. He's quite a bit bigger than the other ones I've been painting. So I'm gonna set him off to the side so we can dry a bit better. And I've got his brother that I'm gonna paint slightly different. Solar, heck yeah. Okay, so the Peruvian Jaeger from Pacific Rim was called the Solar Prophet. Interessante. I'm gonna paint just the jawline, not the teeth. I want the teeth to be white on this one. See what that does for it. It gives it a different look. I did not know that, Theo. I mean, me and my buddy Adam at work are always talking about different things and little bits of movies that we miss and parts of the lore, because they came out with a Pacific Rim 2, and they also came out with a cartoon series for it, or an animated series for it that was I say animated, it was CG, computer generated. The feet, get his little feetsies. I'm going to stay away from the bony bits, the human skulls. But I really liked the Pacific Rim. So the company that's in charge of all of these cinematic universe RPGs, or the cinematic, what do they call it? Cinematic adventures is what they call it, which I think is a good idea. Right? They have their system, the Everyday Heroes, and then they launch a bunch of settings set in these worlds that people are familiar with, that people like, that nobody else is touching, right? Nobody's touching Rambo. Nobody's touching The Crow. And they give it to the people. They let the people have it. Oh. I did not know that, Theo. Well, the Solar Prophet was a Peruvian Jaeger. I know that. You know that. The world knows that now. And we will not forget. We will not forget that it went down fighting. Fighting like a Peruvian. I like that. Okay. Now we got these big beasties. So these are skeletal centaurs. Something like that. They're man beast skeletons. Probably gonna go back over these horns with a different, darker color. And then what's really neat is this blade that's actually a spinal column, spine right here. I'm gonna paint this, that, and then I'll go back over it with like a gray. I think that's about it. Alright, first big boy down. Oh, need a place to put him. Oh, really? I mean, here in America, it's Paddington in Peru. But I guess if they do it somewhere else, we wouldn't know anything about that. Sorry that your country's getting excluded, Theo. So, as I was saying, Theo, I'm very excited to see to play the game because I like everyday heroes. There's nothing wrong with the 5e system itself, right? It's got just enough heft to it that it's great with character creation. You can get very detailed with it. People are familiar with it. Make sure I paint on camera, you big dopey. Okay. Oh, and his skull. Duh. But I'm very excited to see how Return of the Living Dead plays out. I'm not quite sure if I'll do a live play, but I'm definitely going to run it at the Free RPG Day coming up on June 21st. Especially since, you know, that's way before anybody will get a chance to actually see it live anywhere. So people that haven't had a chance to back the Kickstarter can make a decision for themselves. And give us a little bit of a leg up. Oh. Just a little bit more of the pallid bone. Got some skulls here on the base. To flesh those out. Get it? Flesh out the bones. Oh, I'm a riot. More skulls. It depends, Theo. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Um, if I back, I'm going to be backing for PDFs because I feel like that's one of the best things to do. Uh, Sometimes they could take a few months, sometimes they could take a few years. It just depends on what it is. Um, and when you kickstart, you take that chance. You are putting your faith into a company that may or may not deliver. But fortunately, Evil Genius Games has a good track record for delivering on time, delivering their products, at the very least delivering their products, because there are a ton of companies that don't deliver. Here. So yes, anytime you kickstart, you run that risk. But the truth is, that's with anything that you're. This is essentially a pre-order, right? When you kickstart something, you're pre-ordering it, and it happens in. Yeah, I know, Theo. Sometimes you back something, and that's something that you have to look into. That's something that you have to be sure of. Right. You have to look at it, double check, make sure, hey, this is what I want. This is when I want it. Because things change all the time. Okay. I am done painting bone. So next, I want to take a break and I want to paint browns. So I can actually see some contrast. Alright. So, a lot of these guys are fairly simple. Brown it up. Brown it down. Something they don't tell you when you're working with these speed paints is that it's really nice to water them down a little bit. Because they'll spread real easily and then give you this nice flow. One done. I'm gonna start putting them over here. Uncrowd my table. From the top, work my way back. But I actually was watching specifically for that because before I approached Evil Genius Games about potentially getting an advanced copy of it, I wanted to check and see what their Kickstarters were like, how they interacted with their fan base, and they are very good at being honest. They are very good at communicating, which is what I would like to see in somebody that I'm backing their Kickstarter. But again, Kickstarters are calculated risks, so if you do not feel comfortable with it, comfortable about the time, comfortable about delivery, you know, especially if you're somewhere that's not close to where it's being made, manufactured, you know, be careful. Hey, Theo Choco, that's all you got to do is try, man. Theo Choco says he's going to take the plunge and paint some minis. You can absolutely do it. A painted mini is better than a non-painted mini. 100% Theo. I think some of these guys have a lot of don't have a lot on them to paint. Oh, because I could have painted that back portion. On camera, you big dopey. My bad. I'm painting all their leather pieces leather because I'm going to make their cloth pieces pop with like purples and reds. I want some color on these undead. If anybody has questions about what I'm using or what I did beforehand to prep, please feel free to ask in the comments. I am paying somewhat attention. Boots. Boots. What do his boots look like? He has male boots. We'll leave those alone. The rest of these are going to be all kinds of brown. That was a close one. Paint these boots up. Very simple, very easy. Again, I'm not a master painter. Anybody can do this. Just takes a little bit of practice. Get into the crevasses. Try and keep the minis together. You next. You there. So, if you get the chance, tomorrow I'm definitely going to be posting about the Kickstarter from my Facebook page. Check it out. Highly recommend it. I will be kicking it. At the least at the digital. Once I get a good look at everything that they have available, their production times and things like that, then we'll see if I can go all in. Because in all honesty, I would like to go all in on this. Return of the Living Dead is a great franchise, great IP. I think it's going to do well. Nope. The straps. The straps. Yeah. Straps. Hey, Theo Choco, no, thank you very much for popping in. I greatly appreciate it. Have a good night. You can always catch it. Yeah, I think I will have fun. You can always catch me on YouTube, all right? If you can't finish it now. Take care, Theo. Theo Choco has been following me since the beginning. Greatly thankful for him as a follower. And he lives in Peru. I'm international. Ooh-ha. Beef. Womp. Womp, womp, womp. Womp, womp. Good. Clean it up. Test. Test. Alright, chat. The first one who gives me an idea of what their secondary color should be gets it. Because I'm either going to do purple or red or an indigo. What do y'all think? I need something that's going to pop. I'm almost done painting the browns or the leathers, so next up is going to be their pops of color. Let y'all decide. Purple, red, indigo. I don't want to do green. I already got a lot of browns, earthy tones on these guys. I want something that's going to be different and pop. Brown. Double check and make sure I didn't miss any capes, because I've done that in the past. Right. We're all looking good. On my last cape. This guy's got a lot of leather. I think I want that to stay like a bright color. Maybe like his horse mane. Ooh. Could I do that? I feel like I should do that in Graveyard Gray or Grim Black. I should do that in Grim Black. I'll do Grim Black on that. These guys don't have a lot. All right. All right. Pop it. I'm gonna make that black. Finish off these. There we go. And then I don't think there was any. Yeah, there's nothing on him. There's no leathers on him. All right. Okay, now I know what that sound is. I was hearing things and it's my playback. Oh, there we go. Get these bases. Paint it on screen, you big dopey. I do that a lot and I'm really sorry. Just painting things off screen. Somebody yell at me when I do that, please. I know it's just the bases, but using a little of that Gravelord Gray. Paint the bases. Wash that over. All right. Let's knock these bases out. Flip. 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 Man, I love speed paints. Army Painter, I wish that you would sponsor my stream. I am manifesting that right now because I plan on going through a lot of paints over the next few years. Painting models, talking, and doing things. So I need you as a sponsor. Anybody that knows Army Painter can give me the hookup outside of my standard sponsorship deals, because I don't want to use my store credit on paints anymore. I want to use my store credit on games and models and fun stuff to give away. Although I guess I could give away a set of paints. I'm sure Theo Choco would like some of these. Flip. But the speed and speed painting. Baby. Get those bases covered. All your base are belong to us. Yeah. Who we got? Who we got on there? Who is still watching with me as I paint up my epic encounter miniatures? Anybody out there? Somebody to love me. Somebody to love me. Boom, 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 boom. What I need to do is hook up my TikTok. See if I can get me some people that way. China, the Chinese chicken. Grab a drumstick in your brain, start ticking. Watch next. It's on. Oops. Grab the different model that I wanted. That's okay. He needs to get painted anyway. Paint on his base. There you go. Last archer. Finish up this last archer. And then we'll start doing the metals. Then I'll start doing the finishing colors. The one thing I always say when I'm doing the bases is that something that I learned when I first started painting miniatures was that when you do the bases, you don't want it to be just one block of color all the way across. So that's why I paint and do the slap chop method to the bases as well, so that there is a bit of variance in the base. I will slap chop it one whole color, then I'll pick out different stones, something that I learned from Black Magic Craft. Just to make it look a little bit different, to give it a little bit of pop and variance. And it definitely helps with what it looks like. I'm using this gray on the stones instead of a black or a brown. And then I'll go back and pick out things with the brown or the green. Make it look moldy or dirty. Ooh, it's late. That's okay. We're gonna finish these things up anyway. Something that I said I was gonna do was paint the hair on these things black. I'm gonna do that real quick with my Grim Black. Ooh, that is messy. It has been a minute since I've used this. Oops, a little too much. That's okay. A little bit of water. Got going. Sort of like, oh, paint it on camera. Sort of like this undead here. And then it's got like a tail too. Hit this tail. Weep. Careful not to get the bone. Here we go. That hair done. Yep. I like it a lot. One more. I definitely use a lot less than I thought what I was going to use, so I have a little bit of excess left over. I'll have to figure out what to do with that so I don't waste it. Yep. Full coverage. Okay. Okay, next thing I gotta do. I'm gonna shift my palette real quick. That was the Grim Black. So we are going to step and Satchel Brown. Palette bone is out. There is no peachy flesh. Actually, yeah, no peachy flesh. So we are going to do. Let's do the metals next. Broadsword silver. So Speed Paints has a metallic line as well. I like them. They do exactly what I need them to do. I'm going to paint all of this metal real quick. But the thing about metallics is because of how the pigmentation settles when they haven't been used for a while, you need to make sure that you shake them up very, very good. I can't show you on camera, but there's stuff at the very bottom of here that you need to hold up to a light and look through to make sure that it is completely dissolved or mixed. And even then I don't trust it. Always got to make sure I do a couple more shakes. Couple of drops. And with the metallics, I do not thin them out with water. And I always make sure to grab a good brush. We'll start picking out the details. Beep. Definitely still not painting those on screen. Sorry guys. Trying to do better. I got all the metal bits on that one. Yeah. That's good. Knock out the next one. Gotta be very careful not to get any of the metallic on any of the bone. It can happen. I mean, it's gonna happen from time to time. Just be careful. Because if you get bone on the metallic, you can always just go over the metallic. If you get metallic on the bone, you're gonna see it for a while. Boom. Like that. I like that a lot. Start catching the rest of these guys real quick. Metals. I'm definitely gonna go back over some of these bits and give them some gold features. I don't normally do gold, but definitely want to give these guys some gold features after I do the speed paints. Come back through. Oh, what I should have used the leftover black on was the hooves. They come back and do their hooves. Good. And again, all this is easy peasy. Dry brushing, speed paints, 1-2 step, 1-2 step. Loop. Done. On camera. All right. Now for the hard part. All the medals on these guys. Let's go. What I'll probably end up doing for a lot of these guys is going back with a gold acrylic paint and dry brushing over all of the big pieces. Isaac, what's going on, brother? Good to see you join. Just painting up some skeletons. Whoops. All right. I think they're coming out pretty good. Oh. but I think I'm going to finish out these last two axemen and then call it a night. Because in total we have painted 22 miniatures tonight. And they're all basically done. Need to finish out the metals on them. So that can be saved for another night. I have to be at work tomorrow, but I'm not this guy because I need to paint the other side of his axe. Oop. There we go. Getting a little rusty in my old age. Normally I would have been able to finish all these guys. I did take about 30 to 40 minutes at the beginning of the stream to talk about the new Return of the Living Dead tabletop role-playing game that's coming out. Kickstarter hits tomorrow. I will be posting about that on my Facebook page tomorrow. Talked about BrawlCon, talked about Free RPG Day, which we only have about 3 weeks before that hits. Oopsies. Alright. Oh, and that's going to be it for tonight. We're going to save some painting for the next time. I am going to switch it up. Get ready. We got a lot of painting done though. We painted a majority of our large base models. Painted quite a few of the Skelly Bros. So we will just take time to continue that another night. Want to thank everybody for joining me tonight on tonight's stream, painting, talking about the Return of the Living Dead tabletop role-playing game that's coming out on Kickstarter tomorrow through Everyday Heroes. Thank you very much to Evil Genius Games for sending me an advanced copy of the Return of the Living Dead. Again, I really think that it's going to breathe life into exactly what the movie was from the late 80s all the way through the 2000s. It's going to be campy, it's going to be fun, it's going to be a zombie movie, and I think that they've done a very good job of making that connection from the movies to the game, and I want to hear what other people have to say about it, so I will be running it at Free RPG Day this year. Again, huge thank you. I'll be coming up with actually probably the next couple of streams I'll be coming up with some ideas for what could be a really cool character for that. And I'll be taking some feedback off of my Facebook page if y'all guys want to give that a look. So don't forget to give me a like, follow, subscribe. Thank you for watching me on Facebook. Thank you for watching me on Twitch. Thank you for watching me on YouTube. I'll be on here on TikTok fairly soon, but I want to thank you for watching me tonight. I really appreciate it. I had a good time painting, had a good time talking, and if you get a chance, show somebody the stream so that I can get more followers, so that I can continue to do this and have fun. So have a good night. Remember, walls ahead, rubble behind.